This week's spooky season cinema pick takes us back to 1978 for a sci-fi horror classic full of paranoia, tension, and mud baths. After today's episode, you may think twice about accepting a bouquet from your currently devoid of emotion loved one. So sit back and relax, but don't fall asleep as we discuss 1978's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Are we having theme music? Like, how do we... Is it just start with us talking?
Yeah, Dave's gonna do us some, like, a jingle, I think.
Dave.
Nah.
Danielle.
Two lines and 11.
Hi, and welcome to Two Limes and 11 podcast. I'm your host for this week, Danielle, and I'm joined by my two buddies, Nat and Dave. Want to say hi, guys?
Hi, guys.
Hey.
We're going to open this week's episode like we always do, going around and see what everybody's consuming. For those of you who haven't listened before, consuming, we don't mean just food, although it can mean food. We're going to talk about what's been consuming us, books, movies, music, what have you. So why don't we start off with Dave this week? Dave, what's been consuming you?
Oh.
What have you been consuming?
What's been consuming me? Time. Actually, you know what? I was going to talk about my new flat. Basically, I'm moving to a new flat and there's lots of tidying and blah, blah, blah. But actually, this week, it's all been very, like, Scream, the movie Scream and everywhere in my life because of our students are now getting almost to the point where they're going to come up with their ideas about Scream. But before we started, we did like a on-set live kind of production short scene with the Scream killer coming in, and then I gave them all job roles and stuff to do on a set, and I was like, I'm the director, you listen to me, or you listen to my assistant director and they will be my voice. But I played it in a way where it was like
bad cop.
It's hierarchy, so only the people that need to speak to me are the camera operator and my assistant. Anyone else that talks to me, I'm going to be telling you off. So, and then this kid constantly kept coming up going, Dave, what shot are we doing next? And I was like, why is this kid talking to me? You need to leave. It was like this power trip, kind of like madness. They really learned a lot from it though. It was loads of fun. I thought it was a good experiment for them to sort of test out what it's like to try and, everyone has a smaller role, but they come together to make this one scene. And everyone did really well.
What was the scene?
I was really proud of them. So the scene was a Scream. It's like midway through a Scream killer scene, and someone's hiding underneath a table, and Ghostface comes through the door and starts searching. But then, as they're about to open will pull up the cloth from the table, they get distracted by a noise from another room. As they go to leave, the victim's phone rings and it stops them in their tracks. He turns back round and goes to investigate, pulls up the cloth, and it's just a phone there. And then the Ghostface turns around, and then the person standing there with like a weapon, they go to hit them, and they could decide if the Scream killer stops them and stabs them, or the victim hits Ghostface and makes a run for it. So it's quite fun.
So it was like an original scene. It wasn't like one that's in the movie.
No, I made up my oown scene.
Look at you writing scenes for Scream.
But it's funny watching like the most of the guys were the Ghostface, but there was this one girl who was Ghostface, and she kind of she's quite short, so it's like this short Ghostface sort of coming into the room, like sassily walking through. I was like,
they're always the best ones, because if that was a real one, you'd be like, you know who the killer is straight away, because it's like, well, they're really short.
But they did a really good job, so everyone did fantastic. So
Well, that sounds fun.
Good for them.
How about you, Natalie? What have you been consuming this week?
I haven't been consuming much in the way of media. We went away for a little trip to Norfolk, so we've been out and about, going to places like the zoo and little villages. I have eaten a load of things that I probably shouldn't have had, being at the seaside. But yeah, that's what I've been doing most of the week. So it's nice to get away for a few days.
That sounds nice.
I like seaside food.
You most of it's deep fried.
Yeah.
It's like chips, donuts, all the good food groups.
What did you normally go for?
What, when I go to the seaside for food?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny enough, all the days where I was like, oh, I might get an ice cream, it was raining. So then I was like, it's just ice cream.
You can't have ice cream in the rain.
No, that's sad. It has to be
ruins
sunny.
The ice cream brings the sun into your life.
Oh, so
then.
you're saying if I got the ice cream, then the sun would have appeared?
Well, it would have felt like the sun would have appeared. You would have been
Would
happy.
it?
You might have just
Sloppy
been
ice cream
colder.
Splashed water all over the ice cream cone.
Rock. There's a lot of rock stalls, which is just like, do you have rock in America?
I mean, that's, I think, what we call crack.
Oh, is it the same thing?
No, I think, like, the drug, crack. Is
Oh, okay. No, it's definitely not that. So rock is like sugar in like a
candy
stick.
cane.
Kind of like a candy
okay,
cane.
yeah.
But it's just
We
straight.
call that rock candy, yeah.
Okay, so it's like a straight
It's
stick.
the worst present ever.
I know, it is. It's like hard
you
as
you give it to
anything.
people.
Usually it has like little mottos that are like kind of throughout
Oh.
it. And
The
you
worst
get it in loads of
ones
different... The
are
worst
the
ones?
red and green, like twirls, because it's just got awful taste.
I would have said the
I
worst
have to look
ones.
this up.
They do the version that looks like a fried breakfast, like a full English that's all made out of
Oh.
rock.
Uh,
So it's just sugar, basically.
No, I really have to look this up. Ugh.
yeah, next time you come here,
Yeah, I
we'll go
think-
to the seaside and we'll get you. It will last you 5 years. You'll never get through it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever finished a rock. Like, usually somebody brings it back and yeah, it's a nice flavour, but I'm like, I'm not eating anymore. Because it makes you feel
Yeah.
bad because you're just like eating a stick of sugar, basically.
Yeah.
In the U.S., that people get when they go to these seaside towns is saltwater taffy. Do they do that
No,
there?
they don't do that here.
I hate
We
it.
have
I
a
think
lot
it
of
tastes
fudge.
terrible, and
There's a lot. of
That's
fudge.
another
Yeah.
thing you'll get a lot of the seasides, like fudge, toffee. Yeah, a lot of sweets. It's all just food that's bad for you, basically.
yeah.
Isn't there a shop that we used to go to in Norfolk where it's like that you can see them making?
Yes, that was in
Rock.
Great Yarmouth. So, and you also get a lot of chocolate, and it's like there's like fish-shaped chocolate, and a lot of them places have like screens where you can watch them make the rock behind.
But they,
What have you been up to anyway, Danielle?
Yeah,
Before
we
we
haven't
go into
started
all our
the
holidays.
Prior to the call, Natalie asked me about the thing that she thought I would be talking about consuming, and I'm not going to touch upon that this week because I need to digest it a bit more, and that's the new Taylor Swift album. But I will talk about something that I did last night, which is my neighbor across the street and friend had an extra ticket to the Pittsburgh Pops concert, or a Pittsburgh Pops concert. And so I went to that, and I've never been to one of those before. And it was like a nice little evening. It's the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, and they play more popular music. So this night was called Sinatra and Swing. So they played like old standards and, some swing music. It was full orchestra. It was in like the big theater. And then they had a guy singing the songs, and he had like little velvet jacket on. So
What was your
that
favourite
was nice.
song?
He did one by a singer called Louis Prima, who is somebody that my grandmother listened to. So I kind of grew up listening to him.
Yeah.
He's an Italian-American singer. And he did the voice of King Louis in the Jungle Book,
yeah.
the original Jungle Book movie. Yeah. And so there's a lot like fun little scat things and
Yeah.
whatnot. And then when I was in high school, I played the trumpet, and so there's nothing to really look at except this guy singing, and so I kind of just watched the trumpet players during it, and that was fun for me. But it was relaxing. It's not something I would think to buy a ticket and do, but it was nice.
That sounds good.
All right, so without further ado, let's get into our main feature. This week, we're talking about the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. A little history is this is one of 4 adaptations of a novel written by Jack Finney in 1955. The first was a 1956 version, this 1978 version. There was a version in 1993 with Meg Tilly in it, and then 2007 had a Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig version. So this is a movie I saw when I was younger. I remember it terrifying me, and that's why I suggested it. I really haven't seen it since then. For me, it held up. I really enjoyed it, and I thought there was a lot of sort of deeper allegory themes in it. But I'm curious what my 2 millennial counterparts thought. Have you guys seen this before? Did you have any knowledge of this as a story? And regardless of if you've seen it before or know of it, what were your general impressions of it this time?
I've never seen this version of it, but I have seen the Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig version, which is a film that I really do like. The only thing I really knew about this one, other than I know it's a movie, is the scene at the end with Donald Sutherland raising his finger and screaming, which seems to be on a lot of those like 100 greatest horror moments kind of things. Obviously, I know the concept of it, but yeah, it's not a movie I've ever watched before. This was my first time watching it.
I had no idea. I've heard of the name, but I have no idea what it was going to be about. I knew it was about alien. I guess it's about aliens snatching bodies. But I didn't know there was the one with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig. Is that Invasion or was that something?
Yeah, that's Invasion.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it... Okay, I want to see that one then. You said it was good, didn't you?
Yeah, I love that movie. It's really good.
So I guess that's made me want to see like a sequel to it. Not a sequel, but like a new version of it.
A new iteration, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I've heard of the name. I've seen like Nat said, the clip at the end with no context. So it's like, okay. So this was my first time viewing it, and me and Nat watched it together. And like one of these films. Okay, so I do like older film. I'm getting used to older films now, where it kind of allows you to have like one shot, and they just let the actors act out the scene. And you don't have to, and everyone's talking over each other, but you still kind of get a sense of what's going on. So you don't get that in films nowadays, I don't think.
No.
To just allow the actors just to do the scene. So I think I'm enjoying seeing older films when they do that, and it's making
the
it feel like
dialogue seems a bit more natural because they're talking over each other.
Like the scene in I think it's like a bookstore with Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, the bookstore.
They're just all chatting over each other. Yeah, and then loads of people talking, but you still get a sense. Like he's like trying to talk to the police over the phone, and Jeff Goldblum's like taking the phone off him and all this. It just feels very like natural. So yeah, it felt good. So it was nice to see something like that.
It's interesting. It's interesting hearing you say that, because around the time we first met, I was so excited, and I showed you Goonies, and I remember how annoyed you were that everybody was talking over each other in Goonies.
Yeah, because I guess that was my first time seeing anything like that. Not just like, why is it not paced properly? Why are people not letting anyone say anything first?
Now, to set the scene, like, this is me. I've got this new friend who is, a teacher and does movies, and I'm so excited to show him one of my favorite movies from my childhood, and then the barrage of Dave opinion came after it. I was just so dejected about it.
My theory with Dave is that as he was growing up, he was subjected to a lot of older movies that, probably a bit like me, like westerns and stuff, and you're just like, oh, old movies are boring. But then I think as you now are watching like more old movies that are a bit tonally different, I suppose, then you're like, oh, actually, they're not so bad.
I guess if I watched it if this was the first time a film that had that, then I would be like, oh, this is boring. Everyone's talking over each other. Don't get what's going on. But yeah.
You did mention yesterday when we were watching it how when they're doing their scenes, they're like doing other tasks at the same time. Like he was cooking like a full course meal on one of the scenes, but it's like the dialogue's happening, but there's so much else happening with just like, not even just like people talking over each other, but like the actions and the beats of like where they're hitting sort of thing.
I feel like movies nowadays don't have these as long of scenes. Everything is sort of quicker to get everything moving along. And so kind of lingering on these scenes is almost a lost art.
And then they call it like did you see that long take scene in that film? Oh, it's such artistic. It's like, it's not even that long compared to like films.
Yeah, exactly.
Now in the 70s as well. Okay, yeah, another one point I want to say. Going into this film, I knew it was about people act. Do you know when like the whole possession thing? I think I spoke about it like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
How I hate possession.
During the Hell House discussion.
Yeah. I hate possession in movies. But this whole film was possession. So everyone's acting like the drones and stuff. So I was like, oh,
this is because I edited it recently, so I overheard the conversation over and over and over again. But I felt like a lot of your point in the discussion about possession was that the people around them didn't act properly. Like somebody was like, Dave, go into the kitchen, and nobody reacted like, why is that weird? Whereas the whole premise of this film is
everybody's aware.
People are acting weird and they're noticing it and nobody's listening to them, that the people are acting weird. And then the paranoia starts building and you start suspecting everybody's acting like who is themselves anymore and who is changed. And
we were doing that, weren't we, Nat?
Did you have less of a problem with the possession?
No, yeah, this one, like you said, you've hit the nail on the coffin there. Like it worked because people, like, straight away on day 2, she's like, you're acting weird, you're being different, and it's like you've pointed it out. It's not you're not just playing along with it. Oh, they're just tired. The only person doing that was Lemon Nimoy. Yeah,
they're suspicious if they are like, oh, there's nothing wrong.
My issue with the Leonard Nimoy character, who obviously pretty much like disputes it the whole way through, is why did they need his approval at the point where you've got Donald Sutherland, Elizabeth's character, you've got
Jeff
I can't think of
Goldblum.
the other lady's name, the woman from Alien, and Veronica Cartwright.
Cartwright. Yeah, Nancy.
And you've got Jeff Goldblum, that all believe and know that it's happening. Why was they so bothered about getting Leonard Nimoy's character to agree with them? Because they've already got a little group there that they could have then sorted it out themselves.
I got the impression that there was some sort of history there I also picked up on that as well, especially with the Donald Sutherland character, who becomes the leader of this group as they're trying to figure all this out. But he even, in the very end, when there's no doubt that Leonard Nimoy is also a pod person, he's still looking like, please, you're killing me.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to him? And so, like, I don't know if he was his therapist, if these books have really helped him through something. Like, he seems to be this sort of self-help guru that's written a lot of books. And so at least for maybe the Matthew, the Donald Sutherland character, and to a lesser extent Jack, who is Jeff Goldblum's character, although he seems to have this like love-hate relationship because Leonard Nimoy is so successful publishing, etc. But yeah, I also wondered about that. Maybe it's some sort of theme about authority and how hard it is sometimes to believe that these authority figures that we put all of our trust in want to see us harmed.
Yeah, wants to see you fail, sort of thing. No, but we found that frustrating. We were just like,
yeah,
you don't even need Leonard Nimoy. And the fact also, like, he took Elizabeth to see him to kind of like be a therapist, but she didn't need a therapist.
So that gets to one of my discussion questions that I wrote down, which is like, how do you think you would behave if this started happening around you? Like, most people, if in the Donald Sutherland role, the Matthew character, and your friend, or, Nat comes to you, Dave, and says, Jason isn't himself. Somebody has replaced Jason. It looks just like him, but it's not him. You think maybe she needs the doctor or something?
No, I think I would trust, because I know Nat well enough. I feel like she'd be telling the truth. And I'm like, right, let's kill it. I'd trust but if it was like just a friend from work, then maybe I'd be like, you need to go get some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they obviously have a
friend.
deeper relationship, so they're not just like colleagues.
Well, they get together in the end, didn't they? Oh,
well, they
is that what's going to happen with... Oh, dear.
Well, we're jumping all around. Let me give just a quick synopsis, just in case people haven't
spoilers
seen it and are curious about it before we...
Yeah.
So the premise of this film is there's these weird plants that start showing up around San Francisco. People take them into their houses. We're following the main characters who work in the Department of Health in San Francisco. Donald Sutherland is sort of the head of the department, Matthew, and Elizabeth works in the lab. I don't think she's his direct supervisor. He's not her direct supervisor, but they have this like close relationship already. She wakes up the next morning and Jeffrey, her boyfriend, has a blank affect, no emotion. And so she immediately starts to suspect there's something wrong with him. And as the film goes on, we have this core group of characters, which includes Jeff Goldblum and Veronica Cartwright as Jack and Nancy, who run this like weird mud bath spa.
Yeah, some dingy spa you'd never want to go to.
Really gross. And
we
Leonard
were really
Nimoy,
surprised when we saw Jeff Goldblum's name pop up.
Oh, at the beginning, we were like, another Jeff Goldblum film.
Yeah.
I was like, at this rate, we're going to have to be the Jeff Goldblum podcast because it seems to be like every other movie he's in.
Well, we have to come up with a fun little Into the Woods and do a bunch of Jeff Goldblum.
We've already done half of them, probably.
Yeah, Into the Bloom.
We have our group of heroes who realize something weird is going on. They pull in this popular psychiatrist who's played by Leonard Nimoy to help them out. And the movie just goes on this path of deepening of this paranoia and what's going on, who's real, who's a pod person. There's several times where when our main characters start to fall asleep, a pod kind of latches onto them and starts to create this full other human being based on them. And yeah, so that's basically the plot synopsis of it.
And they melt away because I was always noticing all that
the dust
stuff that was getting put into the
trash.
bins, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like someone's just emptied the vacuum cleaner is what they turned into.
Yeah.
But also, going back to the beginning, I have a question of when she hugged Jeffrey, why does she know instantly, you can tell by her face that something's different? What is it you think that she noticed at that point?
His hair, his demeanor, maybe, because he was really like, what was he like? He was very much like he's clicking his fingers at her, telling her to come over and to snog her.
Well, yeah, honestly, at the beginning, I thought he was going to be a bit of a chauvinist because he was watching like the game, kind of clicked his fingers for her to come over, yeah, and then that was kind of it.
Well, I mean, their relationship was enough to realize why her and Matthew sort of had this more than co-workers flirtation going on. Like it seemed like Jeffrey was out a lot because they had kind of a standing, like a date at Matthew's house where he's making her what looked like celery stir fry. I didn't see anything except a bunch of celery in a wok and some rice.
Yeah. It's like Dave's idea of stew.
My notes too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The other bit is the fact that he transforms so much quicker than everybody else. They go to bed.
I guess it's overnight.
Yeah, but everyone else is sort of like getting chapped lips beforehand.
Well, I think because they wake up midway through the process. If they had just stayed asleep, because in the end, whenever Elizabeth gets transformed, that's quite quickly. It's in the amount of time it takes Matthew to run to the ships and see that the ships aren't going to be their saving grace.
I thought that was just because her process had kind of already started because she's got like nearly copied like 3 times at that point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wondered a bit about that too. But I think they keep getting interrupted whenever we're seeing the pods originally, because if you look in the scene where everybody's fallen asleep at Matthew's apartment and there's the 4 of the pod people growing up next to him, that process is going pretty quick. If Veronica Cartwright hadn't woken him up, I think he would have soon been dead as well.
Yeah, I suppose so.
The biggest, funniest moment of this entire thing was when we heard the bagpipes playing.
I thought you were going to go for, but this is a great one.
We were sitting there and they're like, hold on a minute, what's that? And you hear the bagpipes. What are they playing? They're like...
it's Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, and then I was like, is someone playing bagpipes?
And we thought he'd noticed that somebody's playing bagpipes on the ship, and that's what got his attention looking at the ships.
Yeah. They don't know how to play bagpipes. Let's go. And they run over, and it was like, oh no, it's just the soundtrack they've decided to use in this scene.
We really thought there was somebody there playing bagpipes.
Yeah, we're like, what was the context? Oh, okay.
Well, that brings me to another sound moment that had me wondering. So all these people start turning into pod people, and among them is this guy that we've seen several times sitting in front of the city building where they work, and it's this guy playing the banjo with his dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so a moment that scared the hell out of me as a kid is when you see him later on, it's the dog with the man's face on it. It's like, oh. But in this viewing, I realized every time the dog is on screen, you also hear the banjo, and I was like, did the banjo get turned into the pod person too? Or is this the filmmakers? Because like the audience didn't quite know that was the banjo guy without the banjo soundtrack.
Oh no, the dog was hilarious. There was 3 moments that made us laugh actually yesterday watching this.
What was the one that you thought I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say the lady that got slapped by Donald Sutherland.
Oh,
there's an old lady that absolutely gets backhanded.
She's uppercut.
We laughed at
trying
that.
to run away.
Yeah, and she grabs him, I think, and he just absolutely slaps her. And the sound effect of the slap is great. Yeah, the dog
so
man and the bagpipes.
Yeah, the ending was a bit all over the plot.
The other one that we liked was when he smashed his own head in when he was the pod person of him. He couldn't kill the Elizabeth clone, but he could kill himself. Yeah. That was quite an interesting scene.
Yeah, I wondered, there were a couple moments as it gets towards the end where I wondered why he didn't do a little bit more. Why not bash everybody's head in? There was a Jack clone and possibly one for Nancy there too. Why not just be safe and bash all of their heads in? But he just does his own. And then later when he's running and he sees again the banjo guy laying asleep next to his dog next to one of these pods, he just gives the pod a little kick and it splurts out blood.
Yeah.
I had a fashion moment I wanted to talk about. Dave, do you want to do my fashion?
Danielle's fashion of the week.
So overall, love all the 70s fashion, and this is so fun to me. And it's a very brown and gray palette, tans and browns and grays, and lots of sweaters. It looked very comfy. But my the standout outfit was Jeffrey's shorty robe. Because men do not do that anymore, do they? Wear a little robe?
No,
it just little hairy legs are hanging out.
It just looks like he's borrowed someone else's robe and it doesn't fit properly.
Was Jeffrey the character who looks like George Michael?
Yes, he was the character. Yeah.
The giant nipples.
Yeah.
No notes on that one.
No. That's the first thing we saw when he's laying in his bed. I was like, how big is that man's nipples?
Oh, dear.
I will say, interesting thing of 70s cinema is I would say hands down is the most conventionally attractive of the men in this film. But back in the 70s, Donald Sutherland was sexy. This was at the height of his career, and he was leading man, and you just don't see that anymore. Kind of a Donald Sutherland looking guy.
Yeah, they all look
it's not really
young now.
Being the lead. Is it? No. Apparently, he also insisted on the curly hair for it because he thought it would make him stand out. And so, at the beginning of the filming, he would wear curlers every day, and then he just got a perm.
What I would say, what I noticed a lot in the movie is also the camera shots. The camera is always moving. There's barely a static shot in there, mixed in with a load of POV shots.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah, I think especially when you get into the heart of the movie and they're kind of trying to figure out what's going on and trying to hide, it's moving all the time, and it adds
There's
this sort of weird
scene
tension in it.
Where Donald's in a telephone box, and it's the camera's doing drive-by, basically, on all sides of this telephone box. And there is a little cameo.
I said to Nat, I was like, could you just rewind that? I think I saw the cameraman. And we're like, wait, we played it again. And then you just see the cameraman just walking past.
In his brown little jacket, yeah.
I haven't seen that noticed as a cameo, but there are a couple other notable cameos in this. So there's a weird sort of just unsettling shot near the beginning when we first enter San Francisco of a priest on a swing set.
Oh yeah.
Just lingers on the priest on the swing set. That was Robert Duvall.
Oh really?
And he had done another movie. Yeah, he'd done another movie with the director, and this was just him
doing a cameo.
Helping out. And I think the director bought him a coat as payment for the film.
It's cool.
And then the other fun cameo is early on, they're driving. They hit a guy in their car. He's on the roof, and he's like, they're coming. That's the guy from the original 1956 film.
Oh, that's
Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
That was kind of a fun little cameo.
That is good. No, speaking about him driving his car, why has he got a bullet hole in his windshield?
Oh, no, he doesn't. That was from the opening scene where the the chefs at the French restaurant throw the bottle of wine.
Oh.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, after he's clearly gonna like shut down or fine this French restaurant for having like a rat turd in their sauce. He comes out to his car and there's a bottle of wine smashed on the windshield, and there's two of the cooks kind of standing and looking at him.
Do you remember
And then
that,
throughout the rest of it, we've got
No, I think we're just too busy.
We must have talked or something. We
Talked
must have
through it,
missed
yeah.
that. I was going to say, because the rest of the film, we were like, well, why has he got a smashed windscreen? Every time he got in the car.
A question. How much money would someone have to pay you to go to that mud bath? And when you go there, those strange men are also in there as well.
Yeah, it was a sketchy place, and I couldn't believe that somebody worked for the health department would be able to go in there and be like, I'm not going to comment on any of this disgust. Like it didn't even look like
really
yes,
stanky,
inherently you have baths full of mud. It's going to be kind of dirty. But then they had these like massage areas that looked like a triage area in an army hotel or army hospital, just like curtains.
Yeah, I think my issue
like
was the
surgical
curtains.
beds.
Because it's like, if you're getting out and you're covered in mud, there's so many like flappy shower curtains everywhere that I just feel like it's just going to get smeared everywhere.
Cakes and
Like,
everything,
Well, I think the showers were right next to it. You're supposed to go to the shower and then go lay on the weird table to get your massage.
Yeah, it was all just a bit weird. And Dave thought the man was farting in the mud bath because it was like
did.
bubbling up.
I think it was supposed to be like volcanic.
Yeah.
I thought you were just sitting there just like...
There was, in looking through trivia, apparently Jeff Goldblum and Veronica Cartwright went to one of these places prior to filming to kind of understand it. And they got out of it. And Jeff Goldblum said that didn't feel hygienic.
Yeah. It didn't look hygienic.
No, it didn't. No.
No.
No. And also, that whole scene in the mud bath, that was a good scene, don't get me wrong, where they found the, like, transforming body on the bed. But again, they then called Leonard Nimoy to be like, can you please confirm that there's a body on a bed? And it's like, you don't need Leonard Nimoy. And then he just comes in like, well, you all must be crazy because there's no body on this bed now.
Don't pay attention to that open window or the garbage truck that's right outside.
It's just frustrating at that point.
I think very long into it, and maybe it's just a difference of how we feel nowadays, but the character Matthew trusts authority figures way too long in it. Like, he's still calling the cops.
Yeah.
They're
like,
outside screaming
far
at him and
into
he's
the
still
film.
trying to... I'll call a different line. Yeah. They're like outside going, and he's on the phone like, I'll call a different police department.
I did like when he was calling people and then it was like they knew his name. He's like, how'd you know my name?
Yeah. Don't ask, just run.
Yeah,
down there. They know who you
exactly.
are now.
Yeah. I feel like, because we were saying, were they good or bad, these like pod people? Because at the end of the day, they were trying to do like this hive mind, weren't they? Where they all kind of like, there's no more war, there's no more this, there's no more that. But then you then lose like emotions and society because of it. It's all just this one. Yeah, what is the purpose of it?
Well, in a way, it's a little bit like the movie Equilibrium. Although they're not aliens, it's like a society that doesn't have like emotion, but then you also lose things like art and love and stuff like that, isn't it? So it's not really inherently good or bad, other than the fact that they're taking people's lives, I would say.
They're just existing, aren't they?
Well,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the aliens are just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Like, they go from planet to planet, and they claim that they're doing it to help people, but I think they're, any one of these sort of invasion films, the aliens are just doing it to keep their race alive.
Yeah.
The original 1955 book and then the 1956 movie was a metaphor for McCarthyism. Do you guys know what McCarthyism is?
Nope.
Melissa McCarthyism, but that's about
Okay.
it.
During the 1950s, there was like this Red Scare in the U.S. Everybody was afraid of communism. And so there was this Senator, Joseph McCarthy, who had these Senate hearings, like these big hearings where they would call out people and have people name who, like, if you were suspected of communism, you would have to get before this Senate committee, basically so that you didn't get thrown in jail or whatever, get blacklisted. People would name other people that they had seen at these communism meetings. And so it led to, in Hollywood, all of these actors and writers being blacklisted for years. Like, there was this general paranoia. Who's a communist? Who's not? So that was the metaphor behind the 1956 version.
Right.
I've looked into the 78 version, and it's a little unclear. I think some people pointed to the fact that at 1978, you had the people who in the 60s, you know, the summer of love and hippies and all this, we're going to change the world optimism. And through the 70s, leading into the 80s, it became more of a capitalist mentality. And so the people you had known who wanted to save the world and to make a change were now just interested in being like a corporate, in making money,
yeah.
etc. And so it was like, I don't even know these people anymore.
Yeah.
I'd probably more do it like a phone thing, like what's it called when they dead? What's it called? Brain rot. I think that's how they're
Like too much screen time.
Yeah, that would be a invasion of the body snatchers kind of thing. It's in the phone.
Like there's Italian AI things. Now I sound real old, like
Italian
explaining it
AI?
that way.
What's Italian AI?
Oh my, maybe the almost 50-year-old is much hipper than the millennials here. There's like a shark with tennis shoes on it, and it's like called Tralala something or another. And then there's like, it looks like a wooden bat. And
I
his
have
name is
no
like
idea
Segor.
what you're talking about.
I see it on TikTok. Kids love this stuff, and there's a like a cup of coffee in a ballerina dress, and her name is like Ballerino Cappuccino.
So this is the kind of thing I would get Leonard Nimoy to go talk to. Nat could come up to be like,
dear.
Jason's like acting weird, but if Danielle comes over and talks to the shark
About Italian AI.
then I'm calling them Leonard Nimoy to come over and chat with you.
Are you sure you weren't asleep, Danielle? That sounds a bit like a fever dream.
That leads us then to the very end. And I was curious for you guys. I knew how the movie ended, having seen it before. And I wondered if there was any doubt in your mind in those final scenes where we're following Matthew. Did you know he was a pod person, or was there some doubt that he could be just pretending?
After the shot of there's a guard that looks under the stairs, isn't it? Or looks in a bush or something, and Matthew's hiding there. And that's how it cuts off. It like goes to black, doesn't it? We were kind of like he's been taken at that point. We both said that. I mean, obviously we've both seen that scene at the end where we know he's obviously been taken, but I think for that shot it was pretty definite that he had been taken. Our next question was if he goes back to being like a food critic, well, not food critic, but like a food safety person. Surely there wouldn't really be a need for his role anymore because everybody's doing exactly what they should be doing.
Does everybody just go back to their normal daily lives?
Well, that's what it seemed, because Elizabeth had gone back to her, like her science job, whatever her part of it was, and everybody just seemed to have gone back to normal.
They were in the lab, but they were all just standing there doing nothing. Like something was on a stir plate, and she turned it down. that was the extensive work, and then they all kind of mobilized, went out and
like clocked out,
went down to where they were, meeting to get their pods to take them to transfer to their loved ones, I guess.
Yeah, but we were like, it looked like farmers, with like a grow a marrow competition. Like everyone's just carrying like big cucumbers or something.
I remember in my first viewing, and again, I was a kid when I saw it, so like might not have picked up on a lot of things, but thinking that Matthew was just pretending to be a pod person in those last scenes and then being truly like surprised by the ending. And I wonder if how iconic that ending is now ruins it a bit for people, because you kind of know that's going to happen.
I think yes. If it's your first time watching, but you've already seen the iconic moment, you know where the story's heading. So it does take a bit of the mystery or the will they, won't they kind of thing out of it.
So apparently they had two endings. They had the ending that we got, and then like a happy ending where Matthew and Veronica Cartwright give each other sort of knowing glances and then go about their way. They didn't tell her which version they were filming, and so her screaming reaction is genuine because she didn't know that was going to happen.
They do that a lot with her, didn't they, with Alien?
But then isn't her screaming in Alien, her screaming reaction with John Hurt's chest burst is meant to be genuine
It has
as well.
to be real.
Maybe that's it.
I'm not doing it.
Okay, so I think we're going to wrap up our discussion now, and let's get to our final thoughts on it. How about we go around first and say favorite characters? And if you want, like, a least favorite character. Dave, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think I liked... Who's the lady with the black hair?
Elizabeth.
I think I liked Elizabeth. She had, like, a fun attitude, and I thought she was going to make it, but she sadly didn't. But she was quite a fun character. I liked her.
My favourite was also Elizabeth. I think she handled herself well, considering what was going on, and she didn't falter from what she thought to be right, even though there was loads of people telling her that she was wrong, but she always kind of stuck to her guns, and I think that was, like, commendable. My worst character was Matthew. I felt like he could have helped Elizabeth a lot more than he did. I felt like he lent on Leonard Nimoy's character too much, and almost I feel like he probably got her in a worse situation by involving Leonard Nimoy than if they'd have just gone away together.
I will also agree and say that Elizabeth was my favorite character.
Mm.
My least favorite character, and I think just bringing it up in the discussion today, was I didn't think the Leonard Nimoy character, it was a bit bizarre trying to figure out why they gave him so much authority and why they kept trusting him. But that said, Leonard Nimoy is fun to watch, and I enjoyed watching him.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
Let's get everybody's final scores. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I have given it a 3 out of 5. It's not a film I would probably watch again, although I enjoyed watching it. I prefer the Nicole Kidman, Daniel Craig version of the movie. I say that, I haven't watched that in years, but I know I've got it on DVD, so I obviously liked it enough to buy it. So I think that although this is, like, obviously this isn't the original, but it has built upon that. Yeah, it was just a fun little watch, really. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Dave?
Yeah. I go like 3.5. I'd say I like the bunch of characters. I'm getting used to older films now and how they're being presented, so I can kind of see a pattern, and it's nice to watch. I would say if they could knock off another half hour, that would have been all right. That's where it loses it for me. I think they did too much just sort of replicating the same kind of running around scenes. And obviously when you saw those big, like, things they're carrying with the pods, it was all a bit too cheap. But I felt that the build up and all the other stuff, and for a film that uses possessed people, which I hate, it did a good job, and I didn't mind it. It worked really well. I felt they were more like, just because they weren't themselves, they were like other people kind of thing. It just worked better than what I normally see.
I'm going to give it a 4. I was also pleasantly surprised. I went into this with my memory of it, remembering how creeped out I was by it as a kid, but remembering only, the iconic image and then also the dog man. And so I was like, oh, I remember I want to watch this because it's a movie that scared me as a kid and I kind of want to revisit it, but it could be like really camp and like cheesy, and I was glad that it wasn't. And so with that, that's it for this episode. All right, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.